Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about economics, politics, foreign policy, veterans issues, reform the criminal justice system, and drug laws. This channel probably will offend you, but most importantly, this is where socialism comes to die. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening we come together to celebrate the Army's 246th birthday from its founding June 14th, 1775. And I remember way back when in the cold winter at Valley. No, I'm not that old, but I did do my 23 years. I'm very proud of my service, as you know from some of my other videos. And in 246 years, the Army's gone through more transitions than you can count with both hands and both toes. Some have been major, some have been minor. And the example I give you for that is just in the last few years, well, last lot of years since I went in the Army, I saw the implementation and then removal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which I would just like to say personally came far too late. It should have been lifted much sooner. And we went from the Army of Excellence to modularity, which I do think was a great improvement. I just think, based on some numbers, the original plan, it took till a couple of years ago for them to finally realize that the full plan of three maneuver battalions with a ground reconnaissance battalion squadron, you know where I'm going with this, but they couldn't do it then based on numbers when they first went to modularity. I understand that. And now we face another more turmoil for the Army in particular, with a lot of it based on sheer size, since it's so much bigger than the other services, with specified training that's being ordered to be conducted. And you have people on the outside, some members on active duty, a lot of veterans, and a lot of politicians speaking up saying that this training is going to do nothing but degrade the ability of the military to fight and yada, yada, yada. And here's what I'll say to them. And with all due respect to Senator Cotton, because yes, you did serve. You served as a platoon leader, you served as an advisor, and then you got out. The comparison I'll make is yes, you did do your time as a commissioned officer and you led soldiers. Whereas the current Secretary of Defense, Secretary Austin, served at every level as an infantry officer, from platoon leader through MACOM commanding general. And I personally served under his command a couple different times. I think he's a better judge of what can make our Army more adaptable, more agile, and more lethal than you do. So with all due respect, your position is to advise and approve budgets, then do that. Your job is not to interfere with the day-to-day operations of the United States Army. That has never been a politician's job. They advise, they approve budgets. If they want to conduct an investigation or a constituent contacts them about an issue that's happening, yes, then you do your investigation. Yes, then you bring it up and you have a hearing. But you allow the professionals that have been appointed, that have done the time, allow them to do their job. Because I will tell you now, as the Army enters its 246th year, in my 23 years in the Army, I served with many great leaders. And what I would like to say is, at this point, a lot of those junior leaders, both commissioned and non-commissioned, are now command sergeant majors. They're now colonels. They're now general officers. And they are some of the best and brightest that our nation has ever produced. And people can say whatever they want about the greatest generation of World War II, and I would agree with that. But even some of those commissioned, non-commissioned officers who served from World War II through Korea to Vietnam have less combat experience than the current senior leaders leading the Army today. Many of these senior leaders have more time in combat from a tactical, then to an operational, then to a strategic level than the greatest generation could have ever hoped for, with repeated combat deployments at various levels and in various units. They've learned the lessons. They know where direction the Army needs to go in to maintain adaptability, agility, and lethality going into the future. They also understand the enemies we are facing far better than you do, both conventional and non-conventional. And what I mean by that is near peer, such as China or Russia, or counterinsurgency operations that we've conducted in Afghanistan and Iraq. And people can say whatever they want about the outcomes of Afghanistan and Iraq. If you look at the history of insurgency, counterinsurgency warfare, they are generally ugly fights, and many are unwinnable from the start. I think we've done our best. I think the willingness to pull out at this point is a good idea. And I think as the Army celebrates its 246th birthday, it's a good time for some things to be looked at and maybe some resets to come about. And I think Secretary Austin is the right person in the right place at the right time to lead those changes. The senior leaders that I know that serve in the Army now, some at division level, some at regimental level, many non-commissioned officers serving as battalion, brigade, and division command sergeants major, they are the right people in the right positions. They have done their time. They have seen the combat deployments. They understand how to train soldiers. They understand how to lead soldiers. They understand how to select the right soldiers for the right positions. I think the fact that many times people lose sight of the fact that the comment is made, the military is not a social experiment. Well, here's a newsflash. In some ways, the military has always been a social experiment. And I will say that, I will caveat that with, there's always been two things that allow someone to, as Dr. Phil would say, rise above your raising. And that is, regardless of where you enter society at birth, military service and education are two ways that people have always been able to bring themselves to that next level, which means their children have the ability to move to that next level beyond. And the military is one of those places, and it was that for me. At the beginning of 23 years, I was a high school dropout. I was a punk kid who got in trouble, and I even got in trouble when I first went in the Army, let's be honest. But I overcame that. And along the way, I picked up an undergrad. And then I started on a master's and finished a master's. And now I've been accepted. In August, I officially start my first class for my PhD program. And the skills I picked up along the way that allowed me to succeed, that helped me focus my drive, that really forced me to be successful at what I learned in the Army. So yes, the military is still a method of moving beyond the station that some people feel they're stuck in life. Now, there's people that don't choose that and they resent the fact that you did and moved forward. Well, guess what? Tough shit. You had the same choices I had and you made different ones. I'm proud of the one I made, and it was very successful for me. As far as changes in the Army, the United States Army was better after integration. The United States Army was better after females were integrated in, and the Women's Army Corps was done away with. The Army was better when Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed. I have my own opinions on some of the training that's going on, but I have not seen the actual material that the military is using to train with. But I will go with the fact that I know many of these senior leaders, up to and including the current Secretary of Defense. And what I will say is, I have faith in these men and women to help bring the Army to the next level. And that's why the 247th birthday will be celebrating things made better than they were on her 246th birthday. I have complete faith in this. And I think as the American people, you should do the same thing. If you served and you disagree with me, then so be it. Hit dislike and tell me why in the comments. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, Please like, subscribe, let me know in the comments, share with your friends. If you have ideas about other things you want to do, I will do a Marine Corps video like I did for this on their birthday for a lot of reasons. Yes, Junior, I'm not going to pick on the Marines. I'm going to do their birthday thing too because it was pretty cool. And I've celebrated the Marine Corps birthday twice while deployed with them. And it's a really good time. And they really are great folks. Marines are great, just like the Army is. They're not as good as paratroopers for the most part. But now, with that being said, happy birthday to the United States Army. I cannot wait to see what you've done over the next year for your 247th birthday. And just remember, there's two parts of the Army. There's paratroopers and the Army that supports them. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, happy birthday, United States Army. Please think about all the soldiers serving today, not just the ones deployed, but the ones getting up every morning and putting on that uniform and going to do their job, that are prepared to support and defend the Constitution and make the ultimate sacrifice